Hi, this is Stephanie. Welcome to Ending the Stigma Stuff. I am a little nervous tonight. I wasn't as nervous the first two times. I know I posted on Facebook I'm about to go live, but I was nervous even before that, before telling people to watch me as I go live. However, I am going to do this. So I have a couple things I wanted to talk about, and the reason why I titled this video as PTSD can be powerful. What I went through, I learned so many things. I learned to protect myself, to be able to fight back. When I went through my trauma, I wasn't able to fight back. And I don't want to go into the details of that, but I was in vulnerable state. Yes, that's a whole nother subject. I'm sorry. So what I want to say today is that I am grateful for today. I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be able to share my story, which is something I didn't think I was going to be able to do sometimes. I always knew, I guess since I was living in New York and married, I really did have these visions from God that I was going to be successful. I was going to have my own foundation. I was going to be able to go to Hawaii or live in Hawaii and do the things and travel the world and tell my story. I wrote Ellen DeGeneres, and she's one of my favorite people ever. And if this ever gets back to her and she sees this, I wrote her because I just thought, like, I was just jumping ahead. I wasn't ready, but I was, I wanted to write my book first, and I haven't finished that yet. I need to start again, to be honest, but this is my way of getting my story out faster and just to share the love and share the support, and know that, for people to know that you're not alone in PTSD, you're not alone in anxiety, you're not alone in depression. There are so many resources, but I did know that this was my purpose. But 10 years, almost about 9 years later, it did take a while for me to go through some more things, to understand my illness more, to just, I wasn't ready, basically. And now I am. So today I met a good friend for breakfast, and that was amazing. Michelle's been a very good support to me, and I was supposed to be in Rocky Point today, and that didn't work out. I did give up drinking 20 days ago. I took down the wine signs behind me because I loved wine, and I have a lot of wine decor. But I still like to host parties. I still, but I thought I would take those down. But anyway, I didn't go to Rocky Point, but I do have the time off of work. I have 5 days off, and I really think it's important to take these 5 days off and work on self-care. Do what I need to do in the moment to keep my peace, stay calm, keep control of my emotions, because talking about this again, dealing with this, it's making me emotional. I'm very spiritual, and I felt my spirits with me, and that in the past, that used to be a sign that I was about to have a breakdown. I was going to have a complete breakdown. I was going to have to go to the hospital, and I was terrified and scared because I know they're with me in my hard times when I need them, and I have to realize that they're always with me. They're always with me in my good times too, and I just sometimes don't know they're there, but I do know in my heart that they're always there, and I feel them more than ever. But I'm just letting them guide me. I went and saw my grandma today, and my grandpa guided me there. As I said in the previous video, he did die in hospice during 9/11, and I failed to mention my other grandfather, Grandpa Fritz. He is such a strong influence in my life because, my other grandpa died at a young age. I think he was late 60s. So, I knew him. I was 20 years old when he passed away, so wasn't an adult much while he was alive. My other grandpa, he was a Tucson Fire chief and well-respected man. If anyone knows him or heard stories about him, he was amazing. He is where I got my writing from, I believe. Like, he used to write the newspapers. He would write funny things, important things. He is amazing. And so I just want to say, first of all, the last video I did mention that I was handcuffed a few times. I remember at least 3 or 4 times. And that alone, like I said, was a little traumatic, dealing with that as a person in crisis. And I just wanted to say that I do respect the police. They were kind to me. They were just doing their job to keep me safe and keep them safe, because in mental illness, it is sometimes unpredictable. You don't know what a person's going to do. Sometimes they can be dangerous. And so I just want to say I respect the police, the fire departments, everyone in for the first responders, military have a special place in my heart. I really respect military. My great grandfather was Navy, and he was in Hawaii right before Pearl Harbor happened. He was supposed to be there for 3 years. I was talking to my grandma today about it. That's her father, so my maternal great-grandfather, George. And he got the family out of Pearl Harbor. Well, the Navy transferred them out early, right before Pearl Harbor happened. So him, and then also my grandfather, John, was military, Navy as well, a civil engineer, very smart, cool guy. And like I said, I didn't know him that well, mostly as a kid. But yes, I just wanted to go see my grandma today and give her a big hug. And I know she's almost 90, so I just think it's important to spend time with her as much as possible, because we all have busy lives. And I showed her my YouTube videos, and she's proud of me, of course. And then I just came home and hung out with my dog, and I took him for a walk this evening. So anyway, self-care is very important. Coping skills, music is so important to me. And on that note, I usually put my radio on Pandora, well, my phone on Pandora, and hit shuffle. And I feel like sometimes my Uncle Scotty DJs for me, because he passed away when I was right before I got divorced, I guess. And then I was here in Tucson visiting when he passed away. And anyway, he DJs for me sometimes. So right before this live video, Hallelujah came on. I love that song. It's so inspirational to me. And so basically, I just want to say PTSD, when people think the word PTSD, they usually think military. I've had that happen a lot, where I'm like, a couple years ago or a few years ago, I was out at the bars trying to spread my blog, which was the importance of having a voice.com, which I no longer have. But they're like, oh, were you military? And I'm like, no, I had personal trauma. But there's all kinds of trauma, but obviously military. And then also just fire department, even if it didn't happen to them, and the police and border patrol and even ER nurses, any nurses, medical professionals, they see a lot of trauma. And just to see that, I can't imagine. I mean, my sister is a pediatric emergency room nurse, and it takes a very special, strong person. I have, she has a lot of friends that do it, and I just can't imagine personally doing that, because I'm an empath. I am an empath, and I take on people's feelings. I hear stories. I don't like to watch the news. I don't like to hear stories about trauma, about children being hurt, and I just take it to heart, and I just feel it as it's my own. And it's hard for me. I wouldn't be able to just go home and shut that off, So I respect the hell out of you, everyone that is in that field. But self-care is so important, because I know to have that career, and I wanted to be a firefighter so bad. I remember testing a couple of times. I was a Tucson Fire Cadet. I became an EMT and did that for 8 years, like I said. But I sat down with my grandfather, and he prepped me for the interview. He was so supportive, and I remember he was like, "Keep your nails clean. These are color street." Anyway, I keep your nails clean, he said, and push your chair up a little bit for all those people that are testing for the fire department soon. Those are the things I remember. Eye contact, and he sat with me for a few hours and then took me out to dinner with my grandma. It was nice. But yeah, I just really respect everyone for that, and I think it's hard to just repress it all and not talk about it. And I hope that everyone in that field has people to talk to, wives, parents, coworkers. I mean, it's really important, I feel like. And so, yeah, just having trauma happen to you, dealing with trauma, seeing trauma, there's so many ways. And I mentioned earlier in the last video, bipolar, it's a mood disorder. Even that, like, I'm sorry, is bullshit. Like, bipolar is something, they used to call it manic depression. And so I hate the word manic also, because when you say you have a manic episode, they associate that with bipolar type 1, or in bipolar type 2 is more of the depression where you get more depressed. And I just think it's bogus. I'm sorry. So what happens is, and it's real, people do have a hard time dealing with their emotions. I'm not saying mental illness is not real. I'm just saying that bipolar is something that the doctors, I don't know who created it, to be honest. I was talking to my grandma and she was like, back in my day, like, we didn't hear about mental illness. Nobody talked about it. It wasn't even a thing, bipolar. So how did they even, I should look into this, but I don't know how they even came up with that word. It was manic depression. And for me, it's just a label. It's a stigma. It's a way to stigmatize people to be crazy, but PTSD, a lot of people, like I said, have trauma. Like, my grandma's been through so much. She lost her husband. She lost her daughter. She lost her grandson. And those are hard things to go through. And she was saying she got through it, and she did. And I mean, I'm sure she has healthy and unhealthy coping skills. I mean, she doesn't drink. That's for one. She never drank. So I just worry about her, but she's strong. But I mean, just everybody has gone through stuff, and that doesn't mean you have PTSD. That doesn't mean you have the disorder and you need to be treated. There's some people that can just talk about it and get over it and brush it off, or it just doesn't affect people the same way, depending on what it is, how little it was, how big it was, and that doesn't even matter. You could be a small child and something could happen that's not even like when it be considered traumatic, but your brain doesn't process the same, and it's scary to you, even though it wasn't anything dangerous, but you children, process things different, and their mind's not all the way developed, so anyhow, even as adults, I mean, your mind, I would hope, would be, you're always learning, but so yes, I think that is pretty much it for tonight, because I'm trying to keep it under 15 minutes, and I'm just kind of rambling now, but again, self-care, I'm taking this weekend, and I'm just going to get a pedicure if I feel like it, hang out with my dog, walk my dog, let's see, music. Everyone has different coping skills. I like the water. I like to swim laps. I like to take showers, baths. Like, the water is where I find my peace. I feel safe. I feel comforted. And I just want to end it in tonight's video with, again, reach out. And like I said, I didn't sometimes, and like I just cried and cried, or sometimes it's embarrassing, or it's not embarrassing, but you're at a state, and I get it, where you just want to be alone and you think you can handle it, or you just don't want to talk to someone. And I get that. Like, you don't have to talk to someone all the time, but if you're at that point where like you feel like there's no hope, I just want people to know there's hope. There's hope. There's hope, and you're worth it, and you're important, and everyone learns from everyone. There's little things that people do that you wouldn't think would help somebody, but it does. So just remember that, if you need help, if someone else needs help, like, I just want this world to come together and know that we can count on each other. I mean, we're never gonna take away all the evil. There's a lot of bad people, and I used to think that the world was never going to get better. It's going to get worse and worse. And how can people treat people the way they do? And I have that mentality where it's not getting better. Like, it's getting worse. It's a scary world. And I don't have kids. And sometimes I'm like, would I even want to bring a child into this world if I had the opportunity? And I haven't yet had the opportunity. But now I know that, like, it's how you, that's a whole other story too. But I mean, yeah, I think I still could, and you never know. My life is just starting. I feel like I'm 40, and I've lived a lot. I've had a lot of great experiences. I have a lot of good people in my life, and I'm so grateful. And I just want to say thank you for listening. And if you listen later, thank you. Please share with your friends. And I'll try to be a little more structured next time, and I usually try to have a couple topics, and then, I do want to speak from the heart though, and not a script. And so anyhow, I am rambling. It's 17 minutes and a half. So anyway, have a great night. Peace, love, and that's it. Be kind. Thank you. Have a good night.